Hi, I'm Tom Bowling and I'm here at Pioneer Imports and Wholesale today to share with you a great idea for spring. Now when we think of spring, we often think of certain colors or certain flowers that are traditional with the spring. But one of the looks that I think is really important, and one of the components that we want to talk about, is the use of texture. And texture is the way something looks or feels. So we're going to get some great variations of textures and shapes and forms and colors in our composition here. So we're going to begin in the middle with this new grass that you see here. It's kind of not a bright green, not a dark green, it's kind of that gray-green look, but yet want it to look like an explosion. So it's tipped out with just a hint of the pink tones as you see here, so it's going to give us a little bit more of the dimension. So now I'm going to again use one of the newer products, and this is the gray-green eucalyptus, which is quickly becoming one of my favorites. And as you'll notice, when we do use the eucalyptus, I can get multiple insertions out of one piece by simply cutting, as you saw, and then bending the edge over the tip that I cut the stem so it doesn't impale somebody or that the material doesn't slide off. So I'm using that and around the edge of the container, and again using the texture, which I think is so important. Also in this case, it has that little bit of frost to it. So now it's going to tie that container and marry the vessel with the floral styling. And that's real important that we marry everything together, kind of like when we cook. We make sure that if we're cooking a certain dish or a certain ethnic choice, that everything works well together, and that's exactly what we do here in the floral design. So again, bending that edge over, and I love the fact that these collections, these little groupings, slide on the stem, so it allows me excellent product placement. So as I look at it right now, everything looks fairly balanced as we see it. Now I'm going to come in and use this new coral wisteria, and again the cascade look, the fact that it just gracefully comes down the edge of the container. Now I did have to remove the foliage, but I'm not going to throw that away. I'm going to go ahead and put that back in so it actually looks like it's a part of that piece of wisteria. Put a couple of those there so it again makes an impact. One sometimes looks a little lost. Well, in this case I don't want it to look lost, I want it to look like it's important. So then the other couple I'm going to use around on the opposite side here. And again, these great pieces of foliage, they become equally as important when you're doing your design work to make sure that you use correct materials in here, and the fact that, let's face it, you've already paid for it. So let's go ahead and use it so it doesn't become something wasted or go into that area of the flower shop where it just becomes lost and never gets accounted for. All right, I'm going to flip back to some additional green. You'll notice that this fern material has some subtle colorations on it as well. So it's going to marry and tie into the wisteria color. And that coral color is so dynamic. And we're going to see that being expressed a lot in interiors for the 2020 season. So we want to use that not only in interior work, but also event work, weddings and party work. So keep that in mind as we're choosing our material. And again, going back, you can see all these textures starting to come together and really work well together. Now the vanilla dream of the ranunculus that we have here, it's just a hair off, just a tint off of white, but again gives us that extra dimension that we're looking for. Taking my stems, I'm going to bend those, hairpin those, to make sure that when I insert that into the dry foam, that it actually does stay in place. Going in, dropping that one down just a little bit, allows me to put a smaller placement up toward the top. And I have one more over here. I think will work out nicely right into there. Beautiful textures combined. The grasses, which are so omnipresent everywhere you look in interior design magazines, shelter magazines, you're seeing that use of the grass material. So we want to bring that in as well. The ferns, the eucalyptus, all of it works so wonderfully together. Pioneer Imports and Wholesale has an amazing amount of choices for you. Take a look at their website or go into their catalog and explore your design options.